It's a bounce-back week for a couple of clubs who meet on the pitch for an East versus West matchup. USL Championship action presented by Wheels pits San Diego Loyal against Miami FC. And hello everyone with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Well, Ricky, Miami's looking to atone for what they did last week at Lou City, an opportunity that they missed.
And it's always going to be a big challenge going into Lynn Family Stadium playing against Lou City. For Anthony Pujols, he says, look, the first half we were probably the better side, but how do you stretch that performance over 90 minutes? And you take a look at San Diego Loyal coming off a loss at home. Nate Miller's going to look for a reaction for these boys. So between these two teams, they need the result and expect high tempo, high energy, and a quality match of football here tonight.
And you see Miami right now at 7th spot in the Eastern Conference, just a handful of points behind Charleston, Lou City. And the one luxury that Anthony Pujols has, he's got some weapons back in the shed, doesn't he?
And he's going to be extremely pleased. We start with Kyle Murphy. The goal that he scored at Lou City, you know he's going to be brewing with confidence. And he just gives Miami a different look. He has a focal point to stay high, to play off of, and he's going to occupy the two center backs of San Diego Loyal. But he has the ability to stretch the game as well. As of Callum Chapman-Page, the ability to step off his line and pick passes is extremely important to kickstart the attack for Miami FC. But if you're Anthony Pujols, what a joy to see these boys back on the field here today.
Yeah, Murphy's missed 5 games this season. On the other end, a 27-year-old Adrian Perez. He's an impact player for the San Diego Loyal.
And he just gives them a versatility. He can play on every single line of this field for Nate Miller. We're going to see him slot the left wing back situation. So you're going to see him join the attack as he sees fit, but also do his defensive duties. He can beat you 1v1. He can beat you through combination play. He's going to ask a lot of questions and test the shape of Miami FC and that back line.
Both teams vying for 3 points. We'll see who gets it on the other side when we return. Starting 11 and first touch. It's San Diego Loyal, Miami FC, right around the corner.
Some people think Miami is just flamingos and palm trees.
And hell yes, we have badass sunsets.
But Miami's Little Havana,
Doral,
Little Haiti,
Hialeah,
Wynwood, Coconut Grove,
Kendall,
Calle Ocho,
Sweetwater,
Homestead,
cortaditos y coladas
empanadas y croquetas.
is so much more. This is the 305.
This is who we really are. This is what we are all about.
I am Latino.
I'm a disruptor.
I am LGBTQ.
I am a villain.
I am a mother.
I am Haitian.
I am an athlete.
I am an activist.
I am a king.
I am American Dream.
I am the future.
I am
Miami FC.
Brought to you by FPL. Learn how FPL is investing in Florida's future at FPL.com/value. Volkswagen Florida, Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. Make sure you check us out. Our local offers at VWLocalFlorida.com. And Wheels, the future of micro-mobility is here. Now we are live here at FIU Stadium, home of Miami FC, and Ricky, the starting 11 for the home squad.
And you have Akanyori and Dewuna sitting in the center of the park. So that relationship needs to be spot on for Anthony Pujols. Bolu is a more of a pivot number 6 that likes to sit right in front of that back line. Dewuna has the freedom to join the attack. And talking about the attack, Sordo, Murphy, and Salazar. Murphy, we talked about him, the ability to stay high. Sordo to come underneath him. And Salazar, get him involved in that 18-yard block. That's going to be a really talented starting 11 for Anthony Pujols here tonight.
The team traveling from America's finest city, San Diego.
And it all comes down to that midfield line. You see Perez, Martin, Corona, and Guido. Moon, the ability to stretch a game, very explosive. Damas and Conway. Damas, the ability to turn this game at the drop of a head. So the productivity on that front line between Ethan Conway and Ronaldo Damas needs to be spot on. But again, Nate Miller, team that's going to get it done here on the road.
And the injury report brought to you by your Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. Check out local offers at vwflorida.com. And one bright note for Miami, getting everybody back is an important fixture for them. But for San Diego, they have a couple guys that are banged up.
And you look at Charlie Adams' ability to just pull the strings from a deep line position, but that's a luxury that Nate Miller has. Next man up mentality, it's Colin Martin, Joe Corona, Alejandro Guido. Talk about the three probably almost most talented players in USL Championship in the center of the park for the visitors.
Match is about to get underway. The touch control by Miami FC. They'll be moving from right to left on your screen. Miami so far this season with a couple of victories, 2-3-5, good for 11 points. For San Diego, they got 5 victories under their belt. They're 5-3-2, sitting right now 4th in the Western Conference. And taking a look underneath the hood, most people probably don't know this, but Rick, you have a relationship with Nate Miller. You guys have had some professional experience together back in the day.
He's a coach that's going to want his boys already in this first 5 minutes.
Telfer, sharp angle shot and a touch by Koke Vegas.
I'm talking about Nate Miller, just the reaction for this side coming off a loss at home. Not ideal for San Diego Loyal, but what does this first 5, 10, 15 minutes look like? You know they're going to want to get on the front foot, the ability to get on the ball, play at their tempo and pull the strings and implement their identity against this Miami FC side.
This corner kick brought to you by your Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. First one of the night, and it goes to Miami. One of the things that's been prominent over a 2-week span for them is getting off to great starts. Christian Sordo, one of the notable figures. Melvin Rivas, the lead official tonight, directing some traffic. Sordo scored in back-to-back weeks in the first 10 minutes of action. US Open Cup. Did so against Inter Miami. Sort of looking to get things set. Melvin Rivas the same. There's Sordo. Little line drive action. Chapman Page, not a good figure on it. That one turned by Salazar. Not a good boot on it, though.
And what a fantastic ball in this was from Sorto. Get your big boys on the end of it. Cause chaos within that back line of San Diego Loyal. Set pieces, we talked about it, David. The ability to score early and score often for Miami FC here.
So a redo of sorts. See how Sorto lines this one up a little bit long. The header! That one is picture perfect on one side, but unfortunate for one team. San Diego Loyal on the back end of it. Anthony Pulis, the look on his face right there says it all.
As everyone crashes towards this near post, it leaves Aiden Stanley to make a looping run. Free needs to get this on target. 6 yards out, you can just see Koke Vegas barking at his boys. Lack of rotation, lack of individual responsibility there. Very fortunate, that goes wide. And just see the quality from Sorto to put the ball in a dangerous area. Aiden Stanley just so unlucky, doesn't test that man.
It was like everyone was flat-footed for San Diego, completely caught off guard. And for your Koke Vegas, you're awfully fortunate that header, which was hit flush by Stanley, just missed the mark. But it's one of the staples to Miami FC this season is their ability to make threatening plays off set pieces. No different here tonight.
I think another key for Miami FC is the ability to force turnovers in their attacking half. You know, San Diego, they want to get beyond the ball. They want to build out from the back. Koke Vegas, a goalkeeper that steps in, playing like an extra center back. So if you can pick them off and force them into silly turnovers, you're going to have a lot of joy in the attacking third here tonight for Miami.
Telfer, not double team, but triple team. Threw that one inside the 18. It was intercepted. Possession's going to go to San Diego. Anthony Pulis in his second season with Miami FC, and he did speak on a couple of occasions to us about the temperament of his team, but this week was a little bit different because he felt like, yeah, more than 1 point got away from his guys at Lou City a week ago.
And it just came to managing just little situations. That was something that was very interesting to understand, that you cannot have any lapse of focus. You have to stay tuned in from minute 1 to minute 90 plus. but it's always going to be a big challenge, David. Going into Lynn Family Stadium, probably the most, I wouldn't say hostile environment in all of USL. 10,000 plus there. So what does that look like? But to play them off in that first half off the field, the quality was on display for Miami FC. And hopefully, like I mentioned in the open, not 45 minutes, get that over 90 minutes, and you'll be sitting extremely well on the table for Anthony Pulis.
Which is interesting that Pulis did say that, because he felt like there was going to be moments that the crowd does what it does there and uplift the home team. And it didn't happen early. It happened late after the first half of action had come to a conclusion. That match was 1-1 at the end of 45 minutes of play, and then Lou City put together 2 goals, and they won it 3-1 was the final tally. Conway out wide. He's continuing to press the attack. Perez into the 18. That one's wiped away by Stanley.
Just see the fluidity on the top line for the Loyal, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's Conway. Guido coming in from a late position underneath them, and then Perez playing as a right-sided wingback. So he's left-footed by trait, so he's going to have the flexibility to come into the interior to create overloads for San Diego Loyal. So many attacking weapons that Nate Miller has at his disposal.
And Anthony Pulis acknowledged the fact that San Diego plays with a full 11. They use Vegas out of his net, and they use him a lot when trying to build up and push forward. Rather unique in USL?
I think it's unique in world football. I mean, we see as the game is evolving, the kind of pressure that puts on goalkeepers to be clean with their feet, to be able to pick out passes, break lines, the way that Nate Miller likes to play. Sometimes we see Koke Vegas 20, 25 yards off his line. But that gives them, again, the numerical advantage to play up and get those wing backs a bit higher, to spread out those center backs and really pull apart their opposition.
Match is just underway. If you're just joining us, Miami FC had a golden opportunity in the 3rd minute on their second corner kick. A header just missed the left-hand side of Koke Vegas. Our right, his left. Was a beautiful ball from Christian Sorto, who put it right on the money. And everyone for San Diego left flat-footed. San Diego in their dark green uniform combinations today. Miami FC continues with their light kits. The strike on goal. Vegas with 2 paws on it, denies. Well, Kyle Murphy scored last week on a PK, but love to get one outside of that. Murphy's got a couple of goals so far this season, but he's only played in 5 matches. Segber's with a near intercept. You know, Ricky, when you're a guy of Kyle Murphy's caliber, you know you're chomping at the bit just to get on the pitch. But take me through this. If you're out for 5 games, how long does it take you to get back to full game shape?
Well, I think it's always different because there's no teacher like the game.
Yeah.
So I think it's game 1. We saw him play, what, 70+ minutes in at Lou City. Now we're looking for him to go full 90. Anthony Pulis understands, look, he probably won't be as cleanest in terms of as the game progresses. First things that go is your mentality, your decision making, and then your technique. So you're going to start to see a bit of heavy legs, but all the quality of these players understand that they are fit, they can play 90 minutes, and that's what preseason's for, really to lay down that foundation. So if there's a little bit of a bump in the road, you can recover extremely quick.
Well, Murphy missing 5 games. Callan Chapman-Page, he'd missed a couple, 3 of them to be exact. Ben Mines also returned a week ago, so plenty of horses back in the stable for Anthony Pulis. And they survived. They didn't play a bad brand of soccer for 3 to 4 weeks. They're picking up points, but the unfortunate thing was a lot of it was just a point. Pass intended for Sordo was intercepted.
I really like what Miami FC is doing, stepping extremely high. Talked about their aggressiveness of Chapman-Page, Paco Craig, ability to step into that midfield third and really negate any transition moments, because you see Thomas and Conway, they want to run, they want to stretch, they want to test the opposition and play direct when they have the luxury to. But so far, so good in that back line for Miami FC.
And that's one of the things that Nate Miller said to us. He said it was really unique in terms of Anthony Pulis' old teams. They didn't pressure a lot from the outside. This year, different beast.
Exactly. It's a lot of a tactical matchup that we're going to see here. So you see, again, Loyal trying to build out her back, and what that does, it pulls out Miami FC and try to create gaps within their lines. So if you can stay compact, that front line goes. Great body movement there from Ronaldo Damas.
Paco Craig there with the foul. Looks like it'll result in a booking. The first one of the night goes to Paco here in the 10th minute.
We just talked about it, the ability to pull out opposition, to create gaps, but it's a really good recognition. It's playing to the front line of Damas. You can see Paco Craig knows exactly what he's doing. Hands around him, giving him a big bear hug. Damas goes down, feels a contact. Now Paco Craig on a yellow card, needs to be extremely disciplined, the captain for Miami FC.
It'll be fascinating to see how this night goes along for San Diego. Keep in mind, you're going from the West Coast in San Diego to Miami. Temperatures change a little, but it's the humidity that'll come up and bite you.
Especially with the long travel day as well. Able to get your legs underneath you.
Perez here trying to work. 4 inside the 18. This one dumped off to the right side for Elijah Martin, but Elijah can't get to it, so it'll result in a goal kick. And Anthony Pulis, going back to Jake McGuire as we take a look at Nate Miller, who you played for back in the day. I want to say back in the day. It was like 3-4 years ago. It makes it sound like we're old men. Only one of us is. That's me.
Oh, stop it.
But you mentioned off the air that Nate has developed a certain sense of swagger now, and he's become who he is today because he's had those kind of learning relationships as a younger man, coaching at some of the professional ranks.
And it was interesting because we had the ability to talk with him weeks back before they played against an Orange County set. I asked him about a couple players that I know personally. He says, look, I'm just as proud as of men that they've become. And that's kind of what Nate Miller's all about in a nutshell, the ability to get the best out of the individual, to understand, to be a man manager, to say, look, if you're comfortable off the field, that's when you perform the best on the field. You start to see whether it's a Grant Stillman, Nick Moon, Toumi Moshaban, those players really have the trust underneath Nate Miller, and you start to see them express themselves within the game.
Well, there's a couple players that Nate Miller was also speaking glowingly about, and a couple of them for San Diego. They're local products as well. But Nate and his family have found quite the home taking over for Landon Donovan, who's been elevated to an executive role with the organization. Into the 13th minute. No real threat against Miami FC so far, but a couple of blessed opportunities for Miami FC, and one just inches away from finding the mark. Stoneman. And there's Koke Vegas. Vegas nearly going end to end with his activity this season. Stanley got dropped there.
It's good recognition of space there from Aiden Stanley. As Koke Vegas picks his head up, you see the back line drop in unison. For Nate Miller, we saw him moments ago just barking at his boys to play a bit more, especially to the player we just showed, Joe Corona, the quality that he has, experience to come through on that international levels, national team. Such a pivotal point. What a big signing he's been for San Diego Loyal. So for Nate Miller, get him on the ball early and often, and that's going to be a big key to success.
Yeah, Corona's a monster in San Diego. Southern California, he was named the Union Tribune Player of the Year in 2008. He was first team All-CIF. Went to Sweetwater High School. Down off the 805 freeway in National City. So it's one thing with San Diego is they love their sports, and it doesn't matter what it is. But Corona has been one of those guys in San Diego that you have to feel great for because he plays for the home team. 10 games so far this season. He scored a couple of goals.
Looking for quality here from Aiden Stanley or Sorto. Right around that penalty mark between that 6-yard box to ask questions of Koke Vegas and try to catch him in no man's land. does he go, does he stay? So it's a really important play here for Miami FC.
Stanley will take this. Deliverance with the left foot. That one is quickly evicted. Paco Craig, not a lot of steam on it. Looked like he was a couple feet offside. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. Anthony Pulis. We'll put you on the spotlight though, Ricky. You think about what's going on right now, 10 games into the season for Miami. How would you evaluate them from start to where they're at now?
I think as of late you've seen
this one fluttering in, and no chance for Vegas, who elevates on it. An excuse me goal for Miami FC, and they lead 1-0. We've seen some strange things this season for Miami, Ricky. In an attempt that really wasn't one, but good things happen when you put it on net.
And the ability to up the tempo, to play direct, but it's all about the movement from Kyle Murphy, because Grant Stillman understands, I need to make a play on this. If I don't, Kyle Murphy's in on goal, but just so unlucky for the center back, up and over. Koke Vegas has no opportunity, but Miami FC, they won't care. 1-0 up within the first 16 minutes. It's a dream start here for Anthony Pulis.
Yeah, that goal powered by Wheels, and it goes on an own goal. Elijah Martin with it in the 16th minute. That thing looked like it was just floating up in the air, and Koke Vegas in slow motion looked like he was doomed. And sure enough, that ball got past him even when he elevated. Vegas couldn't get to it, and Miami FC with the advantage at 1-0.
We talk about understanding spaces. As Murphy has the ability to get in behind, and Grant Stillman has to respect his run. He peels off, Salazar comes to the interior, and that's what creates the goals. So for Anthony Pulis, it's not a matter of who puts the ball in the back of the net, it's just playing between the lines, and it's been very exquisite stuff there for Miami FC.
Just fascinating to see the development of the year for Miami FC, because a lot of the breaks that could have gone their way early on never did. And the hard work never had any kind of payoff. And now all of a sudden, the last 3-4 weeks, you see these bounces go their way. It's a crazy pinball of a season so far.
But now from Nate Miller, what does this response look like from his boys? First 20 minutes going down, not ideal. We haven't really seen San Diego really play their brand as much as he would like, to get on the ball, to move the ball from left to right, and make this back line and defensive structure for Miami FC, to open up gaps and to play through the lines. It's been very good and sound defensively for the home side.
This broadcast right now brought to you by your Volkswagen dealers of South Florida. Check out local offers at vwflorida.com. If you're a fan of numbers, how about this one? San Diego right now is winless in the last 9 matches when conceding the game's first goal. One that Miami FC would love to have continue. Miami does a lot of their damage early on in contests. They've scored 5 goals in the first 15 minutes of action this year. This one occurred in the 16th minute, the own goal from Elijah Martin, but they don't care. They'll take it either way. Guido calling Martin. Martin looking for his first goal this season. He's started in 6 of the 10 matches on the approach, working long, plenty of contact. Chapman Page got ran over. Nick Moon was the one that bulldozed him over. Contact there. Nice little flop near Jake McGuire. No harm, no foul. We'll go back to this chaos in front of McGuire.
It's a harsh no call there. You just see Nick Moon just bulldoze over Callum Chapman Page, and then it's a secondary phase to stay tuned in for Miami FC. Ball to the back post. Aiden Stanley just makes life extremely hard for Perez, tries to make the most of it. A little bark at him after. I've been very impressed with the defensive positioning and discipline for Miami FC, the ability to step off, stay drop in together. Been really pleased to see that.
Judges did not give Adrian Perez a good score on the dive inside the 18. Telfer nearly got lassoed. Let's Go back to the goal.
You just see the movement. Cal Murphy to be able to spin in behind really puts Grant Stillman in a very unlucky situation. He knows he needs to make a play on it. A left leg on it. Goes up and over Koke Vegas. It's a big a moment.
Bad start for San Diego. Great one for Miami. And keep in mind, early on, they had an opportunity to score off of a header. 2 corner kicks in identical situations, and Salazar in a mix-up, and Salazar is going to be provided a yellow card. A booking for him in the 20th minute. Tempers flaring right now early on.
That's Nick Moon, plays on the left-hand side. He gives the freedom to join the attack. It's a rash challenge from Salazar. Hatches the loyal player extremely late. Studs are exposed. Very lucky. See yellow there. Salazar needs to be extremely careful now. The young man, he knows what he did. Hands up. No ill will there, just a mistimed challenge.
Salazar making his 6th start of the season in 10 matches. Logged just about over 500 minutes now on the campaign. Played in his 100th USL match this season. Perez with the bluff. This one, nobody home. Kyle Adams, the intended target. Send it down to the 3rd member of the team. Lauren Markwith hanging out with us field side. Lauren, what do you got for us?
What's up, guys? It is a beautiful night here in South Florida. Some great energy, a great atmosphere. The guys came out ready to play. And, you know, you said it, 10 games into the season, and things are finally bouncing their way. 15th minute own goal from San Diego Loyal. Also more than that, Miami FC is moving the ball well from left to right, using Akinyote as the outlet. And you can really see them start clicking, start playing as a team together. And I can hear Coach Bullis on the sideline telling his team to keep the intensity for the rest of the half.
Lauren, thank you very much. And yeah, it's interesting because sometimes, Ricky, he's mentioned you need to keep that kind of level, but oftentimes Anthony really doesn't have to do that. But last week got away from him, and he feels like this is a game they have to get.
And especially at home. We talk to every single coach around the world of football saying we need to make home a fortress, make teams fear when they come into South Florida. And the way to do that is score goals, score them early, and really put the opposition on the back foot. And that's exactly what they've done against the San Diego Loyal side, who's extremely talented.
So Stomo with the own goal in the 16th minute. Nothing to show for it, San Diego, right now with their efforts, but they really haven't had a threat. Moon, so the 18, Callum Chapman-Page there again. Callum nicked up here. We will have an H2O break at the 30th minute. Take a peek at this again with Callum.
Yeah, I think he just mistimes this header. It's a header you always want to hit the ball with your forehead. As he leans down to get into it, I think it hits him at the top of the head. Hopefully he's okay. We talked about him in the open. Such a big part of what Anthony Pulis likes to do defensively. Positionally, leadership, all of the above. Him and Paco Craig have made a very good relationship within that back line. Good to see him up on his own power.
Had a chance to speak with Callum a few weeks ago. Good spirits about him, and see a few players right now on the sidelines getting themselves warmed and loose. Florian Velo not amongst the reserves here today. Claudio Repetto is also out for Miami FC. It was a tough conversation that Anthony Pulis said he had with Michael Lawrence. They had signed him to a 25-day contract. Get some guys back. Lawrence not available. This one delicately played. Nicely intercepted, though, by Paco Craig. Craig trying to push things on the counter. 2 out in front, though, for Ryan Telfer.
I think that's going to be extremely important for Miami FC. The way that the Loyal like to be, they like to be expansive. They like to overcommit numbers in that final third. So that leaves them extremely vulnerable going back the other way. So if you can play direct, if you can force a turnover and your first look is forward into the path, we saw moments ago, Kyle Murphy spinning in behind, Ryan Telfer, the ability to stretch out their legs and stretch the game. That's going to be a massive key for Miami FC.
Almost feels like an inflated attacker approach that Birmingham has applied this year, and one that Miami took advantage of.
You just see they like to have a lot of numbers and around that 18-yard box. Guido's been a bit more lively, as we've seen throughout these last 5 minutes, picking up those half spaces from a deep line position. So if you're Nate Miller, that's something you want to see, making those little darting runs, getting on the ball around that 18-yard box.
Well, Guido was there, but that pass went to no man's land, and Telfer was there to intercept it. Craig Chapman Page feeling much better about himself now. Chapman making his 8th start, 8 matches this year as Salazar went down. We got numbers though for Miami. Segbers out wide. Here's Telfer. Telfer, a delay, pulls the trigger. That one blocked on the way through. It's nicely done by Elijah Martin. Miami FC had numbers though. They had a 3-on-2 and a 4-on-2 at one moment. They just pulled up the brakes though.
Yeah, that's a situation that you need to get a shot on target. You need to ask questions of Koke Vegas at the 4v2. I think Segbers makes a wrong decision. As an attacking player, when you're running downhill, head full of steam, you need to draw in a defender, and that's when you have the ability to dish the ball out at the right time. Plays it a bit early, and that gives freedom for Elijah Martin just to shift across, and that's why you see that shot blocked.
Shots right now are 2-0 in favor of Miami. Cal Murphy looking for something. Murphy wanted to eat. Long wave. Oh, an attempt for Salazar, and Salazar's got some disgust and maybe a little bit of fatigue on his mind right now.
They have a very good understanding between Kyle Murphy and Michael Salazar. We saw it on the goal. Now we're seeing it once again. Murphy spinning in, coming on the edge of this 18-yard box. Salazar understanding, if I just crash this far post, playing off the shoulder of Kyle Adams, what a brilliant opportunity. You need to get that on target with the quality that Salazar has.
Shocking that Kyle Adams was late on that play, but unfortunate. Maybe it could have been provided a little bit less steam from Murphy, but regardless, a heads-up play for Kyle. Look at this nifty move by Telfer, trying to create. Telfer collapsed on. Here's Christian Sordo. Christian has got 2 and then 3 defenders around. It's good defense by San Diego, closing the gaps and making sure that there was no open lanes for Miami attack from Guido. Lobs this one. Thomas.
You just see, David, San Diego leaving themselves extremely vulnerable. So many times Miami FC gets on the attacking phase. They have a numerical advantage. So just finding that balance for the visiting side, when to commit numbers forward, but also when to drop in and just have a defensive block. That man needs to fix things tactically. 28 minutes in, gaps are way too big within the defensive structure.
When you play against a team like this, do you think that's overconfident to leave so many gaps in the back end like that?
Well, I just think they want to get on the ball. And when they get on the ball, they want players to come in and give that support, so that you're starting to see those wingbacks stay high, and that leaves that back line extremely vulnerable. Whether it's Adams, Doman, and Martin, we've seen on the other side for Miami FC, the tactical, they like to play with 3 up front, so it's a 1v1 matchup going back the other way. So if you can have those wingbacks have the ability to pick and choose at times when to join the attack, but also do their defensive duties first.
Possible numbers here. Chapman a bit off the mark, but there is Jake McGuire to come up and neutralize that. Evan Conway was out wide and had a step on Chapman Page. Back to McGuire here. McGuire so far this season making his 4th start. He started in that contest at Oakland. Had a clean sheet that was awarded to him. And Anthony Puis, he felt with the performance that he had and also the defense in front of him that he had no choice. Bring him back in net, and he was not disappointed. Big Ryan Telfer. Now, I do know that you like the fact that Anthony Pulis moved from having 4 in the back to 3. That has elevated the aggression level, too, from the outside with Miami FC.
Well, it's the same thing for the Loyal. You want to commit more numbers in around that 18-yard box.
Yeah.
It gives the freedom for a Christian Sorto and Michael Salazar to play that support system underneath Kyle Murphy. And then you have Ryan Telfer and Segbers providing the width. So you have those really dangerous situations around the field covered by the spacing between the lineups. So I think for the players and the characters that Anthony Pulis has, the 3-back really suits his side.
Watch out here, Christian Sorto. Not enough juice on that pass, but Kyle Murphy has it now. Murphy searching, going the long way to Segbers. That one off the back heel. Bolu. Aiden Stanley. Just about time for a water break for these guys. I imagine it comes right now. And that is exactly the case here in the 31st minute. Miami FC, courtesy of an own goal from Grant Stoneman in the 16th minute. And the advantage right now here in this first half, 1-0.
There's a lot of things in this world happening right now, and consumers like myself want some level of control.
I am a solar development project manager, and I get to be on the forefront of the best technology to produce clean energy.
We've transitioned from foreign oil to natural gas, and we're moving responsibly towards solar, battery, and green hydrogen, and this will all ultimately bring savings to the customer.
I know that FPL is looking at other ways that down the line will reduce my bill. We can be less dependent on oil, and the future is bright.
Hydration break right now with Lauren Markwith, Ricky Lopez Espin. I'm David Gascon. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. If you're just joining us, you missed some action early on. Miami FC had back-to-back corner kicks. Nearly got one in the first 6 minutes of action, but then they did.
We just see the big gaps within the lines of the San Diego Loyal. The person to make that initial pressure is Alejandro Guido, and he's your attacking midfielder, dropping in 20 yards outside that 18-yard box. That's been the story of the first part of the first half for the Loyal. Just too many gaps within that back line, and then the run from Kyle Murphy, putting pressure on Grant Stoneman, and then that's just so unfortunate. Any other part of the field that goes up and over, maybe a bit wide, but Miami will take it, and they have a well-deserved lead within the first half here.
Well, you make some breaks, and then you want to capitalize on the other ones. And fortunate for Miami FC, gifted a goal, but they'll take it.
I think for the next step for Anthony Pulis is, again, 30 minutes in the better side. But now we need to get that second goal. And after the second goal, we get that third goal to really put this game to bed early and often. That's something that, in terms of development over the course of 30 plus games within this USL Championship season, the ability to close out games and how to play with the lead and don't let any sign of hope for the opposition. That's the next step here for Miami FC.
Yeah, Miami FC coming off a loss at Lou City. They trailed 1-0, tied it 1-1 off a penalty. Kyle Murphy scored it. They lost that one, 3-1 was the final, but they went through a stretch, Ricky, where they didn't have a shot for 60 minutes. Sorto trying to craft something, but could not. But Miami FC getting a handful of players back. Murphy, Benjamin Mines, Callan Chapman-Page. Chapman-Page was injured earlier this year against Vegas. In a 5-1 beatdown, he got injured in the early stages of the second half. Murphy only playing in the 6th game of the year now. Paco Craig doing what he does, the veteran. On the other side of things, Nate Miller did feel like one got away last week against RGV. They lost 3-2, and shockingly enough, that game actually happened in San Diego, so a rare loss for the Loyal at home.
That's exactly why we talked about the reaction It's never nice going and playing at home, excuse me, and not dropping points, but the way how dominant San Diego Loyal have been at Torreira Stadium to come in against an RGV side who's very talented as well. Watch out here.
Telfer, Murphy to the right side, Segbers to the left. Chip did not get to him. Stoneman broke that up, it looks like. Perez, job here by Aiden Stanley. The chip keeping it in. Vegas, though, alert on it, did not give up on the play. Guido trying to counter. Interesting move there by Guido. And that was picked off. Duuna.
Very good relationship between Duuna and Akinyote. How many times have we seen them just close down space, especially that center channel, really stop a transition moment for the San Diego Loyal. So if you're Anthony Peels, you have to be extremely pleased with those two defensively, how spot on they've been.
Yeah, it's like the repetitions are finally being rewarded for the team. On the pitch during practice, now it's translating into game results. Perez here. Perez, that one nullified by Stanley, getting in front of it. Stanley not budging at all. Martin over to Adams. Kyle from Auckland, New Zealand. It's 10th start of the year. He's logged over 800 minutes this year. A lot of time. Nearly gone wire to wire for San Diego. Martin, Perez, that left foot. No dice there. Bolu trying to pivot back on this, and Aiden Stanley off balance in that footing.
You can see Paco Craig telling his boys, picking and choosing your times when to try to relieve and play out of the back. Also just when to dump the ball down the field and gain some real estate against this Loyal side. Not when you want to have any defensive turnovers so deep in your half.
One of the deadlier playmakers for San Diego, Corona, on the corner. See the contact right there. That was a dangerous spot for Adams to go in. It looks like Bolu was the one that was on the bad end of it. Appears to be okay, though.
It's an awkward coming together between Bolu and Paco Craig. Kyle Adams that's in the middle, the sandwich between these Miami FC players. Once again, I think there's a question mark for a foul there on Kyle Adams. I don't really see much contact from the Loyal player.
Looks worse than it actually was, of course. The ability for VAR to come in to play right now is not available. Shots right now 6-1 in favor of Miami. One on target. Expected goals, Miami is just about at 1. San Diego's nowhere close. They've not had any kind of sustained pressure on Jake McGuire and the back line of Miami FC. And it kind of just proves how these styles, contrasting results. And San Diego's attacking third right now being neutralized by Miami FC. Martin, Perez. Craig gave it back though. And now in the hustle, McGuire will have to come out, and he does so before Corona can get there. I'll have to bring this one back. San Diego, they've scored in 7 straight matches coming into tonight's affair. 11 goals during that 7-game stretch. This attempt here, McGuire with the first denial, but it's cleaned up easily by Evan Conway, and we're level at 1-1.
And it's going to be a frustrating goal for Anthony Pulis to concede. It comes off a throw-in. The lack of rotation, lack of staying tuned in to your individual marks, but you have to give credit to San Diego Loyal. Elijah Martin makes this thing happen. The ability to test the shape interiorly. The run from Guido playing off the shoulder, and then first to react is Evan Conway, a fox in the box. You see Mark Segbers not connected between him and Chapman Page. That man, a fox in the box, an easy tap in right before halftime.
And for Conway, it's his team leading 4th goal of the season. It occurs here in the 40th minute. And always the rule, if keeper makes the first save, clean up the rebound. Was not the case. Conway bangs it home, and we're bottled up at 1-1.
We just mentioned the ability for Alejandro Guido to make runs from a deep line position, and just plays off the shoulder there between him and Paco Craig. No one steps up to him. Easy save there from McGuire, and then it's all about the lack of reaction within that back line for Miami FC. Evan Conway's at the doorstep. He was never going to miss. Extremely frustrating goal to concede for Anthony Pulis.
It's on the heels of what we had just mentioned. So now San Diego scored a goal in 8 consecutive matches and 12 during this stretch. This one headed away nicely by Paco Craig. Perez. So San Diego, their goal differential coming into this contest was +4. And now they successfully have scored in 10 of 11 matches. The only team better than them, Birmingham. Well, it's been anything but easy for San Diego in the Western Conference. And for Nate Miller, he was curious to see how his team would line up and compete against a different defensive-minded team in Miami.
That's where you see the balance within the USL schedule. Teams playing other oppositions that they don't really see, different styles. So now for Miami FC, you know Anthony Pulis, he wants to be a defense and be extremely compact and hard to break down. And for San Diego Loyal, they want to be on the ball. They want to dictate tempo. They want to play through lines. And so far, Miami FC has probably answered every single question asked of them, just lacking that lack of rotation to cover and back up that first save from McGuire.
Telfer against Martin. Nearing the end of this first half. Make sure you hang out with us at the break. We'll have some first half stats, highlights, news and notes around USL. Might take a peek around the USL Championship scoreboard as well. A busy night as we get into the dog days of summer. Kyle Murphy trying to grab that corner, he could not. Got a legit gripe, and Stoneman down on his wallet right now.
And once again, I think he has an argument. There's not a lot of contact. Just as Grant Stoneman's trying to lean into the body, Murphy just kind of swims him to move. Goes down the clever center back.
Koke Vegas victimized in the 16th minute because of an own goal from Grant Stoneman. Mentioned it, Vegas well out of his net.
Well, once again, you just see the shape for Miami FC.
Yeah.
Staying in unison, staying compact as they try to squeeze this San Diego Loyal side. It's been so good to watch for Anthony Pulis. He needs to be extremely pleased.
been anything but a comfortable feeling this year, just because of the lack of productivity early on the offensive end. But things have started to heat up for Miami FC. Nearly stole one against Inter Miami US Open Cup action. Salazar, closing moments. Segber's out wide. Segber's to Murphy. Murphy quickly comes in. Vegas comes out. This is going to result in a booking. Well, Melvin Rivas quickly with that yellow card as we take a peek back.
Just so opportunistic Kyle Murphy is, and as he's playing the ball, Grant Stoneman does extremely well to put himself between the player. You just see the swooping right motion of the leg, catches Grant Stoneman. By textbook, it is the yellow card because he's coming in from behind and he's kicking at the player, but there's just no ill will there from Kyle Murphy, just so unlucky. He thinks he can play on the ball, just mistimes his challenge. And it's rather unfortunate for the striker, but you just want that from your striker, the ability to sniff out half opportunities, to put his body on the line. But I do think it's harsh to give yellow in that situation. But again, textbook, he needs to see yellow.
And you can't take anything for granted, though, if you are Kyle Murphy. Can't assume that Vegas will make that play. And as we saw in the first 15 minutes of action tonight, anything could happen when it goes near target. I wonder if Corona's asking for more from Melvin Rivas of that booking provided to Kyle Murphy.
But he's been causing so much problems and confusion within the back line of the Loyal. Whether it's coming to feet, whether it's making darting runs, whether it's just going direct and playing off the shoulders of this man, Hal Adams and Elijah Martin. He's had a lot of joy. Kyle Murphy.
See Stoneman picking himself up off the deck, littered with pellets from the turf. Don't know how much water is going to aid that. Stoneman with the own goal in the 16th minute. At one point, shots were 6-1 in favor of Miami. It's now 6-4. That includes a marker from Evan Conway in the 40th minute, his 4th goal of the season. We were going to be at least allotted 4 minutes of stoppage time. Can't assume it'll be just that now. Comfortable night here in Miami. Temperatures at first touch, 82 degrees. A little humid, maybe normal, 74% humidity. A couple scattered clouds, but all in all, it's been a balanced effort from both teams. McGuire in net for Miami. Vegas between the pipes for San Diego. Possession right now handled by San Diego, but just by a narrow margin, 52% to 48. Really not any kind of major threats towards Jake McGuire for the first 30 minutes of action. But they did find some space on that back line. And now they're trying to create for a go-ahead goal in the closing moments of this first half. Nice play, though, by Salazar. Salazar had it and did not. Guido with a good intercept. Duuna called for a foul. I don't know about this one. Colin Martin trying to go hurry up here. And now Melvin Riz trying to do some assortment of the tables, see what's what. So Perez is there. See if this is the final sequence of the first half. Corona and Perez. It's going to be Corona here on the chip. Two-handed punch out though by McGuire. Martin, left-footed punch, no way. That one's going to be sailing over the net. Guido looks like. That's Aiden Stanley that's on the deck. So Stanley nursing an injury. We'll have to take a look back at what caused this.
I think it's when Jake McGuire comes out to punch the ball. Aiden Stanley's tracking back, and it's a coming together of teammates. But as a goalkeeper, you're always taught to just destroy everything that's in front of you when you're stepping off your line. Whether it's a teammate, whether it's the opposition, you have to be extremely secure, decisive, get a lot of the ball. Hopefully Aiden Stanley's okay. McGuire's a physical presence between the sticks for Miami FC. He's been at the end. Very unfortunate challenges we'll see. It is McGuire coming off the line, coming together. Doesn't feel good there for Aiden Stanley, but good to see him on his own power.
That's some wake-up juice right there from a teammate. Friendly fire from Jake McGuire. So nearly 6 minutes of stoppage time so far. Interesting first half. There was a pretty good pace and tempo, 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden it's been choppy ever since.
Yeah, it's been very cagey, a lot of stoppages. Not really anyone getting a rhythm, really being dominant in terms of their game model, game style. I'll tell you what, San Diego Loya have grown in a bit more, getting on the ball. Guido's come more alive. We'll see him.
Guido wanted to get it back. Segber's trailing. That shot picked off by Callan Chapman-Page at the very last second and sails over Jake McGuire's head.
I'm seeing Guido get in behind Akinyoto and Dewudu, who's getting caught up a bit too high, changing the point of attack. And Nick Moon, we talked about playing with wing-backs, but having them play inverted. Nick Moon right-footed by trait on the left side, so by tendency, he's always going to come inside, try to have a shot on goal, but give credit to Chapman-Page. Comes across, doesn't let this ball get by him, and puts it out for a corner kick.
Yeah, Nick Moon's had a ton of jump out wide for San Diego tonight. Collided with Callan Chapman-Page early on. We'll set the tone for what kind of this affair this would be between those two players. On the corner, wiped away by Murphy at the last second, and Melvin Rivas says, gentlemen, that will be that for 45 minutes. Plus some stoppage time. So the end of the first half is here. Evan Conway, his 4th goal of the season for San Diego. Grant Stillman, an own goal that gave Miami FC the advantage at 1-0, but 45 minutes in the books, and Ricky deadlocked at 1.
Yeah, I think if you're Anthony Piolis defensively, that little lapse of judgment and focus is what bit you to concede that goal. But for San Diego Loyal, get on the ball a bit more. We've talked about Colin Martin, Corona, and Guido, probably the most talented trio in the center of the park. Have them pull the strings, and if you're Nate Miller, get more players and have more quality in that final third. It's going to be extremely interesting the next 45.
San Diego had all of 1 shot through the first 30 minutes of action. They had 6 after that. Evan Conway, his 4th goal of the season, caught this match level. 45 minutes in the books here for Miami, and we are locked up at 1 apiece. We've reached the half.
No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
Welcome back. FPL Halftime Report presented by Macron. Miami FC, San Diego Loyal. Tied right now, 1 apiece. Evan Conway has 4th goal of the season for San Diego. More to come on the other side. Back here at the FPL Halftime Report presented by Macron. With Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm David Gasca. Miami FC, San Diego Loyal right now. Bottled up at 1 apiece. Let's send down to the 3rd member of our team, Lauren Markwood, with us. Lauren, your first half thoughts, please.
What's up, guys? We are here down pitch side, and what a great first half. Intensity from both sides. 15 minutes in, San Diego Loyal scores an own goal, giving Miami FC the lead. 40th minute, San Diego Loyal equalizes, making it 1-1. Miami FC needs to do 2 things in order to secure the W. They need to stay locked in, and they need to finish their chances. They've had some great chances in the first half. They just need to find the back of the net to secure that 2nd goal. Next week, Miami FC is back at home to take on Orange County. Let's see what's coming up.
So we got a lot of things. Lauren, thank you very much for providing us with that insight. And as she had mentioned, a couple games on tap in particular. You have Orange County that's right around the corner. Then you go on the road for a couple pivotal matches, one of them at Memphis.
Yeah, that's going to be extremely interesting. Memphis 901 cannot put a foot wrong. At the moment, I think it's 5 games on the road winning, and then it's RGV. That's a really difficult place to play against a Wilmer Cabrera side. You welcome Loudoun, and then you go out to California, Monterey Bay. So for Anthony Peel, it's the mixture of things. You're playing a lot of Western Conference teams, but when you play against in your conference, Memphis, Loudoun, you need to pick up points, and you need to do it right away.
San Diego returns home for a few days, and they take that quick flight up to Oakland. It's about an hour flight up to the Bay Area. They get Oakland, then San Antonio. Oh, and then they get Sacramento Republic on a date on June the 9th.
Yeah, that's the meaty part of the schedule there from San Diego Loyal. 3 games. This is the first of 3 on the road for Nate Miller. We're counting the Oakland one, a road game, and then you go to San Antonio, Sacramento Republic, Mark Briggs, and then you welcome San Antonio again at Torero Stadium, and then a Bob Lilly side. So for Nate Miller, this part of the schedule is going to be extremely interesting to pick up points because there's a lot of challenging matches.
Yeah, that is a horrendous stretch for anybody, but San Diego is one of those teams that can certainly manage it. A picture-perfect night here in Miami. We'll have more first half stats, highlights, USL Championship notes coming up right around the corner. It is 1-1 here.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Are you ready? Ready for more of the game you love? Ready for more players and more teams? Ready for more stadiums, for more fans in more cities? This is a different league. The USL Super League. Built for the future of women's soccer. Bridging the journey from youth to pro, connected to the global game, and bringing it all closer to home. Are you ready?
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals. No one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no days off, no perfect scenarios. Things won't always go the way you expect. But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
At the break right now, the FPL halftime report with Ricky Lopez-Espin and Lord Markwith. I'm David Gascon. 1-1 is the score. Miami FC had the first marker in the 16th minute. San Diego tied it in the 40th. Ricky would take a look around the league, and yes, something else is brewing in USL.
Under welcome arms underneath the USL umbrella. Welcome to Super League announces the initial markets intend to have 8 teams in August by the 2024. And then there was one, Orange County, Han Sacramento, the first loss. So that's going to be extremely interesting now to see what Mark Briggs and the boys do in terms of their reaction for the Open Cup. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Birmingham Legion. Keep in mind on those two sides, you're trying to emulate what Mark Briggs did last year, but Bob Lilly and Tommy Sohn, those are the coaches that are going to do it.
Man, that Pittsburgh game is going to be fascinating because Columbus can get up and down the track against Bob Lilly's team, which really likes to muck things up.
Yeah, that's going to be extremely interesting. And you talk about the Open Cup, you always want an opportunity. That's all you can ask for if you're Bob Lilly and Tommy Sohn, opportunity to really host MLS opposition, and no better time for these boys to do it. And they're on a roll, so it's going to be extremely interesting.
Yeah, and Sacramento did their damage last year going all the way to the championship bout. Got the second half coming up next. Can Miami pull away and get 3 points? We'll have to do so from a deadlock position. We'll be back. This broadcast is brought to you by FPL. Learn how FPL is investing in Florida's future at FPL.com/value. Tata 2 and Macron. We move into the first half highlights. Had a goal early on, didn't we, Ricky?
And it was the lack of defensive spacing for the Loyal. You see the movement off the shoulder, Kyle Murphy, and he creates this goal because he understands if I get in behind, Grant Stillman needs to make a play on this. You see the rotation, the spin off, and understanding between Salazar, and that's a big uh-oh moment. Just so unfortunate for the center back because he's caught between two minds. I understand I need to make a play on it, but if I don't, Murphy's going to get on the end of it, and then it ends up into the back of the net. And then if you're Anthony Pulis, this is going to be so frustrating. The lapse of everyone on their heels, ball watching. You see the lack of rotation. Mark Segerberts needs to be closer to Chapman Page. You see him pointing, but the most dangerous player is the player inside that 18-yard box. Evan Colme simply just slots in between him, Chapman Page, and he's never going to miss. 4 yards out, easy tap in, 1-1 at halftime.
And the first half stats brought to you by Takes. 1-1 is the score. San Diego ramped up their shots, though, for the first 30 minutes. They only had one, though, but 7-6 now. And the advantage in the possession column goes to them as well. 53 to 47% overall. 3 yellow cards, though, for Miami. They've gotten a little physical.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this next 45 to see just the maybe tactical changes that Nate Miller is going to bring onto this field, as well as for Anthony Pulis. We already see the substitution for the Loyal come on the field. So what does that look like in terms of their shape, how they attack? You want to get more numbers involved in that final third. That's for sure for Nate Miller.
Teams flip-flop sides. San Diego moving from right to left on your screen. San Diego will be moving from left to right. Camden Riley was just announced moments ago. That substitution brought to you by your superhero movers at Good Greek Moving and Storage. First one of the contest for either side. So Riley is in. Native from Dallas, Texas. So Riley in, Stillman is out.
And that's going to change things in the back line. So that means Kyle Adams is going to be the center of that three. Elijah Martin's going to shift to this left-hand side. And Riley is going to play on the right side of that 3. But still the same players across the center of the field for Nate Miller.
Elijah. Martin, plenty of real estate here. Duuna finally closed the gap. Moon. Guido. Nice move by Guido. Peels it back to Martin. Guido. No harassment. Pulls the shot. That one misses short side, though, against McGuire, who had a beat on it. But nevertheless, San Diego with some good pressure early in the first minute of the second half.
We see the quality here from Guido, the ability to create his own space, especially on top of that 18-yard box, or to cut back behind the standing leg, try to catch McGuire cheating. Such a creative player, the number 10 for the visiting side.
If you're Nate Miller, what kind of changes would you make here in the second half, outside of the personnel move that they just handled with Camden Riley?
What do you think? For 2 things. Number 1, take care of the ball a bit more. Too many times there's a sloppy turnover. And that what caught them in transition moments to have Miami be on a numerical advantage going forward. And then defensively, I think the spacing. Well, if you force a turnover, how quickly can you be compact and stay into that mid to low block and frustrate Miami FC? Because you know Nate Miller, he has trust in his players. He's trust the process. He knows that the players are going to get in those half pockets, the combination play. It's just a matter of if, not when, they do that. And then how can they recover to negate Miami FC getting their second goal on the night?
There were a lot of positives for Miami FC in the first 45. Unfortunate outcome, though, is they conceded a goal in the 40th minute.
And I do think it's something that Lauren actually said, just finish your chances, especially in that first half. It was Salazar, the header at the back post. So how clinical can you be on both boxes? Whether it's defensively, we saw the lack of it. San Diego scores a goal. Offensively, you score that goal if you're Michael Salazar, it's 2-0 for Miami FC. But this story is completely different now, right after halftime.
Yeah, there was a moment a couple weeks ago where Miami FC jumped all over Birmingham. They led 1-0 and then 2-0. And it was one of those moments that Birmingham got back into it for just a brief moment, but a 3-1 outcome. That was because Miami FC took full advantage of the opportunities that they were allotted. Strike while the iron is hot, they would say. Corona looking for more damage this year. He's got a couple goals, no assists. Corona. This one falling around. That actually went off a set burst to McGuire. But Jake, though, has been busy in this contest. He's seen 8 shots now come his way.
It's a great ball there from Colin Martin.
Guido. No traction on that, though. Callan Chapman-Page forced him back. Nick Moon. Salazar doing a good job of fending him off. Moon. Nice move around Duuna. Walking near that goal line will result in a goal kick. It does look like now that San Diego's found something.
And it's to the wide players. Whether it's Nick Moon staying high and wide, the same as Adrian Perez on the opposite side. And what that does, David, it puts a lot of question marks on the outside players for Miami FC because they don't understand, they don't know, do I stay interior and stay compact, or do I go out and negate this 1v1 situation? Nick Moon, that's a bad turnover there.
Ooh, Chapman-Page trying to retrieve it, sells it, and now quickly on the restart. It's a delicate spot that he was in, and fortunate enough that a foul was called. San Diego trying to press the attack and make things rather challenging for Miami FC. Camden Riley came in for San Diego. Miami FC has yet to make a substitution. But again, if you were not with us at the top of the show, Claudio Repetto out, Florian Velo out. So 2 critical cogs for Anthony Pulis not available this evening. And that does not mean that the cupboards are bare. love to be firing on all cylinders with one of the better teams in the Western Conference in town. San Diego, 17 points heading into tonight's contest with 5 victories, 3 losses, and a couple draws. Telfer dropped it off to Christian Sordo, who tees this one up but didn't get all of it. And unfortunate for him, he'd love to have it back.
But it's so good here from Ryan Telfer. The run from Maiden Stanley, he says he sees you, but he doesn't need you. And then the timing to draw out Alejandro Guido. And what that does, Sordo has the ability to step into that final third with no pressure. Like you said, David, he's gonna want this one back. Doesn't hit it cleanly at all. Gets on the top of it as it just rolls wide. But it's better for Miami FC.
Quality chance for Christian Sordo. See if he gets that kind of real estate again here in the second half. I just look like the parting of the sea for Sordo on that attempt.
Exactly the timing for Ryan Telfer, because he understands if I keep pressing that envelope, Guido can just shift over.
Yep.
As he draws him in to dish it out at the right time to set up his teammate. I like to see the fluidity on the front line for Anthony Pulis between Sordo, Salazar, and Murphy. Have a very good understanding and balance within that front three.
We'll see if Miami FC can turn the tables around on San Diego. There have been flashes of excellence on both ends, and San Diego really was on their heels for the first 15, 20 minutes of this contest. Fortunate only to be down 1-0. Murphy here. Kyle looking for his 3rd goal of the year. Stanley, Telfer. Stanley has Murphy around, so is Christian Sordo, who takes that shot, would not have counted. This portion of the Miami broadcast brought to you by Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers. In the 54th minute, Miami FC led 1-0. San Diego equalized in the 30th minute. Moon was looking for Conway, but the ball was placed about 20 feet in front of him. No chance. See San Diego all over this, and Chapman Page got taken out by Guido, and this should result in a yellow card. It's exactly the case. It was an ugly attempt by Guido. End result with a yellow.
Yeah, it's extremely late here. The captain from the Loyal, the ball's already gone, just comes through. The trailing right leg catches Chapman Page. A bit of frustration foul there. A bit of a jawing match between him and Chapman Page.
Chapman Page does not sell much of anything. Not like he was begging for a call. That attempt in search of Sordo, misconnect. Here's Martin hurtling around. And Conway down the middle of the pitch. Outside Perez, and there's Aiden Stanley again.
Very impressed with the individual defending from Aiden Stanley. Time after time, he's being called upon to step off his line.
Watch out here. This one goes floating in on McGuire. It just feels like every week it's the same conversation with Aiden Stanley. He's not perfect by any means, but he's pretty darn close.
You talk to anyone within the camp of Miami FC, just how professional he is.
Yeah.
Takes care of his body in the gym, taking treatment. You start to see the fruits of his labor coming out on game day. He's been such a mainstay within the starting 11 for Anthony Pulis.
It's not one thing, it's just a lot of little things that add up and build up to what his resume has been this season for Aiden Stanley and Miami FC.
Start to see the Loyal pressing high, try to force turnovers in their attacking half. So if you're Miami FC, if you can pick up your head and break through that initial press in terms of just passing range or even with the ball at your feet, there's going to be a lot of room to operate in. What you don't want to do is that, just sloppy turnovers, and to give any sort of rhythm to the visiting side.
Watch out here, that'll be offside. Far side official with the flag up. Yeah, temperatures right now on the pitch. Thermometer says 84, but we promise you it's a little warmer than that. And the humidity is up at 76%. I mean, keep in mind, it's like it's the middle of the day. It's just about 8:30. The heat's one thing, but it's the humidity that just zaps the life out of you. Now, this goes back to your point about what will go first for players. One particular, Kyle Murphy's, that fatigue will settle in. The mental component comes to the physical. Martin. Boone was looking for it. Colin switches the pitch out wide. Here's Perez. Perez, the spotlight, looking for some space, played it through. Damas tried pulling it, didn't hit it flush either. Here's Colin Martin on a quick touch. Elijah Martin to Moon. Moon looking around. Guido wants that one back, just too much steam on it.
I think he goes with his left foot. It's a better angle to play around the corner. It's a great run from Guido. If he doesn't get the ball, he pulls out a play from Miami FC. If he gets on it, he's inside that 18-yard box. Put Nick Moon, open up your hips and just play with your left foot. Better success rate. I think decision-making within this back line for Miami FC is going to be the key in the second half. The ability to press high, the Loyal, obviously tactical change there from Nate Miller. So picking and choosing your times, when to dribble, when to just pump it down the field, is going to be key for success.
Let's see how Miami pushes things here with Salazar. Segber's on a run. Salazar to Segbers, logging over 10,000 minutes USL action. Did that a couple weeks ago. Miami trying to continue the trend against San Diego. San Diego winless in their last 9 matches when conceding the game's first goal. Transition attack though for San Diego. Nice play by Paco Craig. True professional to break that up at the last second.
And it's one of the hardest things to do for a center back. Open field, player running downhill, full head of steam, to put in a timely challenge, not once but twice. On display why Paco Craig is highly touted as one of the best defenders in USL Championship.
Aiden Perez here with a burst, no numbers, 3 on 5. Perez lets it fly. Craig got in front of it. Ooh, bad giveaway here. There's Moon. Moon, he goes down just outside the 18. Duwuna brought him down, but not a lot of harm, not a lot of contact. Watch out here for Murphy. Murphy against Adams, who tracks it back nicely. Murphy trying to dance, he shoots, and he scores! Kyle Murphy lets that thing rip in the 61st minute. 1-on-2, it don't matter. Miami back on the board, they lead 2-1.
We've talked about defensive efforts and the ability to turn those efforts into attacking opportunities. Duwuna does extremely well to close down the space. It's a no foul. And then it's Chapman Page. We talked about him in the open. The ability to step into that middle third and kickstart the attack. Cal Murphy, talked about him in the open as well. Confident knows exactly what he's going to do, sets up Kyle Adams, close to step off and close down the space. And when you give a confident striker the ability to create his own space, 18, 17 yards out, he's never going to miss. Opens up his hips and calmly slots it in. What a terrific goal for Kyle Murphy to put Miami FC 2-1 up within the 60th minute.
And for Kyle Murphy, that goal in the 61st minute, brought to you by Wheels. It's his second goal in 2 games, third goal of the season. And of course, always better than once you return from an injury, a lengthy layoff. He's producing immediately. That's exactly what Anthony Pulis wants and expects.
And again, De Loyal just overcommitting, committing way too many numbers in that attacking third and leaving themselves extremely vulnerable. Great recognition there from Chapman Page to push the envelope, to push the tempo, and then the movement for Murphy just to spin off and say, look, there's real estate. If I can just stretch this game and get out my legs and stretch him, it's when he's the best, Kyle Murphy, when he's decisive in around that 18-yard box.
Callan Chapman Page with the assist. It's his first of the year. And for Murphy, his third goal of the campaign. 3 goals in 6 matches. It's pretty darn productive. Just about staying on the pitch and avoiding the injury bug. Easier said than done, of course. But Jake McGuire and company now staked to another advantage. It's one of the things that was troubling for them early on in the campaign. They scored the go-ahead goal on 3 separate occasions in the first 5 matches and failed to come away with a victory. Here's Nick Moon trying to dance around Salazar. Salazar trying to have him avoid that right foot. Corona to Martin. Elijah looking to sail this one through. Salazar rejects it. Good hustle from Michael.
Once again, David, you see that's Elijah Martin. He's one of your 3 center backs. He's in that final third taking a throw, and you just talk about the lack of maybe discipline for this Loyal side in terms of their positioning offensively. Sloppy turnover leaves himself extremely vulnerable. Just Kyle Adams and Riley in that back line.
Couple substitutions right now. Miami FC led 1-0. It was tied 1-1 in the 30th minute. In the 61st minute, Kyle Murphy scores his 3rd goal of the campaign. So a couple substitutions here for San Diego. Substitutions brought to you by your superhero movers at Good Greek Moving and Storage. Mo Shaban coming in. So it's 2-1. And with Miami, they have not made any changes just yet, but for Nate Miller, he's elected to go to the bench on 3 separate occasions. Corona, one of the players that's out.
And 3 game changers coming into the field. Look at Tumi Moshaban and Elliot Collier. Ability to beat players 1v1 and just glide past defenders. So those are impact players. And watch out, Paco Craig is on a yellow card.
Yeah, Craig had a yellow card in the 10th minute. Melvin Rivas, I think, doing his best job of telling Paco Craig just to get away.
So coming together between 2 players once again. And I'll tell you what, I think Paco Craig is extremely lucky not to see a double yellow there. Walking extremely fine line there. The captain for Miami FC. Evan Conway shows his different dimensions, the ability to spin in behind, but also come to feet. Very clean first touch and very technical player for Nate Miller's side.
Interesting as that was, and Ricky just mentioned it, I mean, the intent wasn't there for Paco to inflict any kind of damage, but the fact that he was there and dropping a top-tiered player, got to be on edge a little bit. So a break for Miami? We'll find out. So this thing plays out when it's all said and done, and McGuire will come out after the miss hit from Guido.
And once again, it's going to be a challenge for Bolu Akinyoti and Dennis Dewuna. The way that Nate Miller has changed maybe the style of playing that front line between Elliot Collier and Evan Conway, they're going to pop off that back line. So in terms of those two center midfielders, if the ball gets by you, your job is not done. You have to have the ability to turn around and double down the two quote-unquote false number 9s for Nate Miller.
Bad pass there by Salazar, and he got away with one there. Fortunate that ball did not end up in the back of the net with San Diego on an odd man rush, but Salazar fortunate. That was merely a throw-in. And the goal scored by Murphy in the 61st minute. And now you're thinking, can Miami close this thing out? A one hopper to McGuire.
Really good decision there from Salazar. Picks up his head and understands there's no really options to play forward. Put your foot on the ball, put the brakes on, get some possession within the side. Talk about reading situations. Like Anthony Peel said, that's picture perfect there from Salazar.
It's one of the things we didn't see a lot of early in the year. It was get it and go, but now a more methodical and perhaps just a mature play there. Adams all the way around the pitch. Conway had that chip. Shaban with a couple goals this season. It is Conway the leader with 4, but Corona also has 2, but he was substituted in for. Miami desperate for an insurance marker. San Diego searching for an equalizer. They lost last week at home to RGV 3-2. Miami FC went on the road and lost to Lou City 3-1. Both these teams want points. Both these teams need points. For Miami FC, they want to make sure they get off that line between the playoff teams and the non-playoff teams. They came into tonight's contest 7th in the Eastern Conference with 11 points, 2 victories, 3 defeats, 5 draws. Talk about the twists and turns this season for Miami FC. I think, Ricky, one of them can't be underscored, but Jake McGuire has done something different where the team in front of him has just played differently, and they have performed at a different level with him between the pipes.
I just think it's a sense of security. Nothing against Zendejas, but when you have the amount of goals that were leaked in at the first half of the season, maybe he plays in the mental side. When you need to change something, you talk to Anthony Piolis to give maybe a different breath, a different sign of life. You change goalkeeper and McGuire. I think he's been terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, making big-time saves after big-time saves, but also the ability to play with his feet is massive. To be kind of like what San Diego Loyal likes to do. Another center back to relieve some of that pressure, to circulate, to go out the other way. That's so valuable for a goalkeeper. That just gives you the confidence within the back line in terms of possession, but also defensively to make up big-time saves. You want keepers to stand up and keep you in games, and McGuire has done just that.
Yeah, the volume of shots is not going to be high, but it's the times where shots are on goal and you need a keeper to make a big stop or two just to stop the momentum and the flow from going one way to the other. And McGuire has done that. He has stabilized things for Miami FC. Shaban with a quick move. That heel kick was not going to materialize. It was out.
You're going to start to see a lot of these types of runs from a center position from the Loyal, whether it's Shaban, whether it's Collier, making those darting runs between center back and outside back. So it needs to be a lot of communication and rotation between Paco Craig and Callum Chapman-Page to pull in an Aiden Stanley and a Mark Segbers to make that line in front of that back, in front of their goal.
Next contest for Miami is on May the 27th. We'll do so against Orange County. So it's not the tough stretch that they had where they were playing, which felt like almost every other day. Tough stretch, US Open Cup and regular league action, Wednesday to Saturday, back-to-back weeks. Guido. Conway again. Conway trying to split two defenders, he can't. Guido, open teammates on the right-hand side. See if they can continue to push to San Diego. And Nick Moon's attempt to cross, can't get it through. Nice play by Aiden Stanley. No foul there. Perhaps a bit of embellishment. This will be a throw-in for San Diego. So over to Lauren Mark with. Lauren, what do you got for us?
2 words, Kyle Murphy. What an incredible goal in the 61st minute. The confidence, the composure, 2v1, and an amazing ball from Caleb Chapman-Page. Just a great play overall. Things are clicking for them. And now it's a 73rd minute of the game. Tired legs. Guys, I looked up and it's 80 degrees here. You have to remember, San Diego is coming from California where the humidity is just not the same. I looked it up, 66 degrees in San Diego. So Miami FC needs to stay locked in, use this home court advantage, use the weather, and just keep at it and keep staying locked in to try to get the 3 points at home.
Thank you, Lauren. And yeah, it's tough to leave San Diego. Speaking from personal experience. Salazar on the deck right now, 74th minute.
Pathfinder's only $199 a month during Weston Nissan's Drive for Less sales event. Drive the Pathfinder, only $199 a month, 33 in stock. Shop WestonNissan.com. Drive for less at Weston Nissan.
74th minute, Michael Salazar getting attended to right now. He has gone wire to wire so far for Miami. If you're just joining us, you've missed some theatrics early on. Also here in the second half, courtesy of Kyle Murphy. Murphy's 3rd goal of the season. Bringing the fans to their feet, and Miami for the 2nd time this evening has the lead. Back to that goal.
Just the ability to stretch and understand that San Diego has a lot of numbers committed. There's going to be real estate to operate if I just spin it in behind. When you have a center back that has the ability to pick apart teams in terms of his passing range, and then that's just pure brilliance. Skill, like Lauren said, composure, the confidence to understand. Let me set up my defender, little drop of the shoulder, stutter step, scissor kick, open up his hips and calmly slot it in. What a terrific goal. And when a striker is confident, David, you see it. And that's a massive goal for his confidence, Kyle Murphy.
Make sure you stay with us at the end of the match. Ricky and myself will have the Tatatu Man of the Match. It is voted on by members of the media. Media members 1, Ricky Lopez Espin, in charge of that. I have no stay in the matter.
You're giving me too much credit there. Too much weight on my shoulders.
You're the All-American here,
oh,
so that's what happens. It looks like Telfer might have gotten a piece of that before it went out of bounds. Substitutions here. That'll be the case. Benjamin Mines is coming in right now. Moises Hernandez will also be introduced. So Hernandez in. Christian Sordo will be out. These substitutions brought to you by your superhero movers at Good Greek Moving and Storage. Well, Christian had moments early on in this contest. Nothing could materialize, but he had a couple nice options on service and corner kicks. One of them just off the mark. So he'll depart, and obviously Anthony Pulis is thinking, let's clap things down and secure those 3 points.
That's a defensive substitution here, as Hernandez is going to slot in within that back line. Sorto gave a different look going forward, the ability to play in those half pockets. He talked about his service on dead ball situations. Such an important part in the attacking phase for Anthony Pulis, and this man as well. Keep in mind, I haven't really seen him get into a rhythm. Has gotten bitten by the injury bug, but again, Anthony Pulis starting to see the qualities, then his roster come out.
This move here by Telfer. See if he pulls the trigger. He does. A little ambitious on that shot.
I think he just makes the wrong decision in the end there. Ryan Telfer does the hard part, gets himself inside that 18-yard box, but that's when you need a bit more composure to pick up your head. Aiden Stanley is making a trailing run underneath him. Again, the work rate from Ryan Telfer week in and week out, game in and game out. It's the reason why he's extremely hard to take off the starting 11.
Yeah, physical presence up front for Anthony Pulis. Adams, Elijah Martin. Martin's been on the ball a lot here today. Lets a shot rip towards target, but McGuire alert on it, not falling asleep. So you're looking at probably the final 15 minutes of this contest. And if you're Nate Miller trying to pull something out, you've already made a handful of substitutions, but if you're Anthony Pulis, you have to feel awfully good about how you've played. Not a lot of breakdowns when they're defending third.
Yeah, defensively, I think it's probably been Miami's best performance. Many times have we seen any clear-cut opportunities for Loyal. They're coming into this game, 15 goals already on the year.
Yeah.
Team that can score goals and score them in bunches for fun. But it's been so good in terms of the rotation, stepping off their line. This man on the field, Chapman Page, widely put a foot wrong, but now they come into a back five. You bring Hernandez, he's going to slot in next to Paco and Callum. Aiden Stanley, Mark Segbers is going to drop in. So what does this look like playing within that line? Have to have a lot of communication, and you know, team in desperate of points needs to get in a goal. They're going to start dumping balls in and pumping balls into that 18-yard box. So winning your individual battles is going to be extremely important for Miami FC to see this game out.
Chapman Page. It's a different look from him. When he got injured a few weeks ago against Vegas, he just fell like he got dropped out of a building and grabbed the hamstring. This one a little bit different with that calf.
I think it's just cramping. We talked about coming off of an injury. What does it look like in terms of his fitness level? 80 minutes in, put a terrific shift in. Chapman Page.
Quickly on this delivery, McGuire comes out. Another substitution as Chapman Page exits. It's brought to you by your superhero movers at Good Greek Moving and Storage.
Out number 5, Callum Chapman Page, and number 22, Benjamin Ofefu.
And so Chapman Page is out. Ofiemu is in. Haven't seen a lot of Ben this year, but he does come in now. Big number 22. You can hear some of the chatter right now as the physicality with some of the fresh players on the pitch. This one played through Conway. Watch out. Conway, this is going to result in an own goal. Well, you give it and you take it. Paco Craig an own goal, and the second time that's happened this year, and we're tied at 2-2.
And I just mentioned there needs to be a lot of communication and rotation as Collier steps off this line. Ofemu does extremely well what he needs to do. Step up with him, but the rotation, the coverage from Paco and Chapman Page is just not there. And then you put the ball in a dangerous situation. Good things happen for Evan Conway, who's been at the thick of everything for the Loyal. Paco Craig just so unlucky. Once again, he needs to make a play on the ball. Puts it into his back of his own net. Heartbreaking for Miami FC.
You can see on the back side of it the frustration from Moises Hernandez, because Hernandez had a beat on it. And Hernandez would have broken that play up cleanly. But unfortunate, and I guess all things considered tonight, Ricky, an own goal for each team, it's not the worst thing in the world. But you figure the 2 own goals were just, those are some straight flukes. Stoneman on one end, Craig on the other. Two own goals in one night.
There's just a message once again. Get yourself in and around that 18-yard box. Put pressure on the opposition.
Guido, he lets it rip. McGuire, though, pounces on that one. Didn't have to move too much, but Guido, not creative in where he was electing to shoot from.
Start to see little gaps opening up now. Whether it's Dennis Duwuna, Bolo Akinyoti not doing the defensive side of the ball, sitting right in front of that back line of 5. And Guido lives and dies by the service he gets in those half spaces, the ability to get the ball in the half turn and run with a lot of pace. Just so unlucky, doesn't pick his corner there. Alejandro Guido, great ball from Murphy.
Watch out here, Mines with some space to Segbers. Mines elected not to take the shot, now efforting to get it back. But the opportunity came once, but not a second time. Hernandez here. So an own goal by Paco Craig. This match is now level at 2-2. Pretty fitting for how this contest has gone. It's been a relatively seesaw battle. Neither team dominating, but they've had control for small sessions of this contest. So despite the fact that Anthony Pulis moved 5 back, came back to bite Miami. And you could tip your cap to Evan Conway, who set it all up. Moon. Ridley back to Moon. Errant feed there. It could be a mental breakdown too for San Diego. Here's Kyle Adams. No Charlie Adams tonight. Now let's see if San Diego can get the go-ahead goal. Guido spins and fires. It goes off a member of Miami FC. It looked like Duuna. Will result in a corner kick here from San Diego.
Doesn't need a second invitation to pull the trigger. Alejandro Guido get the sniff at goal. A half opportunity. He's going to try his luck. And why not with the quality that he has on that right foot?
Corner here. Craig doing a good job of elevating. Oh, watch out, this is trouble, and it finds Twine. Broken play, and all of a sudden, Elliot Collier, as you mentioned, came off the sidelines for Nate Miller. San Diego on the board for the 3rd time here tonight, and their first advantage in the 85th minute, and it's 3-2.
And how many times have we seen from a defensive unit deal extremely well with the first initial ball, but then it's a second phase that's a bit confusing and frustrating once again for Miami FC. As this ball rotates back around, it's a missed kick from Bodily. Elliot Collier does extremely well to get his hips around it, just ropes this thing into that far post. There's too much traffic in front of Jake McGuire. You can't see it. San Diego have their lead.
So Collier on the board for San Diego, and has a back-breaking goal to give up late in this contest. And for Collier, it's his first goal of the season. And for the first time tonight, San Diego has the lead.
Once again, David, it's the inability to step off their line and to react quick enough. We saw it on the first goal, now we see it on the third goal for Miami FC. If the ball's in around your 18-yard box, you need to be turned on, you need to be on your toes, you need to be the first to react. More times than not, it's been San Diego Loyal get on the end of it. Whether it's Conway, now it's Elliot Collier, and he makes that finish look a lot easier than what it is.
2 goals in the matter of 5 minutes for San Diego. And for a team that professes defense, there's some leaks right now for Miami FC. Still time though on the clock, and they have plenty of capability to come back and find an equalizer with Murphy. Fans getting a little antsy. Paco Craig. Segbers with a nice move. There's Segbers again, looking for some space. Bolu, good effort there by Bolu just to keep it alive. Love to get it back, contact. Stanley goes down, no call. Wow. Stanley picking himself up.
You see his little drawing to Tumi Moshaban. The extension of the right leg from Moshaban. Is there contact? That's the question. Stanley does extremely well, and that is the harsh not to feel done by there for Miami FC. It should be a point to the spot. Moshaban knows he gets his foot caught in the cookie jar, and then Stanley takes a contact, goes down.
Bolu. Craig pushing forward. Wow, we can go back to that again, but man, that's looked like a blown call by Melvin Rivas. And Moshaban had the look on his face too when he had that leg kicked out, like he was hung out to dry. So what a gift that was provided by San Diego. Melvin Rivas selected to swallow the whistle, which is a little odd considering the fact he's been active tonight, calling fouls up and down the pitch. But make no mistake, he's called fouls to that on more questionable plays than that.
I'm a big advocate of just seeing the reaction of players. Moshaban puts his hands up right away because he knows he's in trouble, tries to plead his innocence. And as players do that, they know they're guilty. So, extremely interesting to see that one again, but first glance, second glance, it looked like clear-cut contact in that 18-yard box and should be a penalty for Miami FC.
Looks like we'll have 5 minutes of stoppage time. So Miami trying to pierce through one more time. And instead of playing with the advantage, they're now in deficit. They've had moments in this contest, not only to score multiple goals, but to have insurance markers added on, and San Diego stayed with it. Shots right now are 16-9 in favor of San Diego. San Diego also has the advantage, 6 shots on goal to just 2 for Miami FC. Extension here with Adams and Vegas now back.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please.
And there is the announcement of 5 minutes of stoppage time. So if you're just joining us, Collier's scoring the go-ahead goal. He does it in the 85th minute, his first goal of the season. Conway scored early in the 40th and an own goal by Paco Craig, sandwiched between that. For Miami FC, an own goal by Grant Stoneman, and then Kyle Murphy, his 3rd goal of the year. San Diego wins tonight. It'll be their 6th victory of the season. They had lost last week to Rio Grande Valley. Before that, they beat Orange County. They'd actually gone back and forth between wins and losses. And this would be a bitter pill to swallow if you're Miami FC. Shaban got away with a break, and it's a cold forearm shiver by Segbers, and Guido's selling it pretty well.
Just frustration there from Mark Segbers. Last 2 minutes, Miami FC has been chasing shadows, the ball circulation from the Loyal. That's their game to a T. Getting on the ball, pulling the strings, slowing the game down, taking the sting out of the opposition. Ball's gone. Segbers, the extension of the arm, catches Guido. Sees himself into the book.
Nothing but retrieval now for Miami FC. 5 minutes of stoppage time allotted. Down a goal, and they just have not had a lot of pressure. Anthony Pulis made a couple of changes, so Christian Sordo out of this contest. Now you're trying to think of who can do some damage for you. Callan Chapman-Page defensively has been removed. Again, no Florian Velo tonight. Claudio Repetto also out. And Stanley doing some chirping there with Nick Moon. Charleston Battery right now, 21 points in the Eastern Conference. And if Miami can't come back, they'll be 10 behind. Of course, that'll change with a couple of victories, but I won't be looking up too far ahead of everybody else. Duuna, Telfer was down. He's still slowly picking himself up. Hernandez delivering. A vacant area. Murphy was trying to get there to close the gap, but
once again, you're down 1 goal in the 95th minute. And it's only Kyle Murphy making a run into that box. Watch out. There needs to be more numbers, whether you're Ben Mines, Ryan Telfer. I know Ryan Telfer was just down. Benzema needs to get on his bike and just join Kyle Murphy just to cause chaos and put pressure for the San Diego Loyal. Little sense of urgency in that moment of time.
So Collier in the 85th minute, the difference maker right now. And Miami FC, you got to imagine this will be their last gasp. In danger of falling in back-to-back occasions. Fell to Lou City last week, 3-1. And tonight, down 3-2. Segbers looking again, nicely placed. Outside Bolu. Duuna has a goal this year, looking for more, and he just missed. Duuna nearly scored from the same spot he tagged his first goal of the year with.
And he does so well to create separation, just doesn't have enough bend on it to put it on target.
And that'll do it here. We've reached full time. And for Miami FC, one that got away not once, but twice. A Nate Miller and company come from San Diego to Miami and steal away 3 points. Win this thing tonight on the road. 3-2 is the final score. So now we'll take a look at our top 2 man of the match for Miami FC, and tonight it is this man right here, Kyle Murphy.
And he didn't score the first goal, but he caused it, the ability to stretch the game. And then we saw the second goal, decisive, and that's all you can ask for a striker, to know exactly what he wants to do when he gets on the ball. Gets his head down, a little drop of the shoulder, creates a separation, then clinical. If you can get Kyle Murphy confident within the season for this Miami FC side, it's going to be a whole different animal and another option going forward for Anthony Pujols, and a well-deserved man of the match there.
Yeah, so Murphy does his thing, but back-to-back weeks he has scored and the team has lost. Miami gets done in tonight by San Diego. 3-2 is the final score.
Some people think Miami is just flamingos and palm trees.
And hell yes, we have badass sunsets.
But Miami's Little Havana,
Doral,
Little Haiti,
Hialeah,
Wynwood, Coconut Grove,
Kendall,
Calle Ocho,
Sweetwater,
Homestead,
cortaditos y coladas
empanadas y croquetas.
is so much more. This is the 305.
This is who we really are. This is what we are all about.
I am Latino.
I'm a disruptor.
I am LGBTQ.
I am a villain.
I am a mother.
I am Haitian.
I am an athlete.
I am an activist.
I am a king.
I am American Dream.
I am the future.
I am
Miami FC.
Closing up shop here with Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm David Gascon. Elliot Collier with a game-winning goal in the 85th minute. San Diego came back from 1-0 and 2-1 down to prevail. 3-2 was the final tally. Ricky, take us through the full-time highlights, please, because we think a couple different things. The stats will tell you this, but was it exactly true to what the numbers tell you?
It was an interesting game. No one really, we talked about it, no one really made themselves the dominant team, whether it's back and forth. But when that happens, it's all about moments, about how critical and clinical can you be in those critical moments. And for time after time, San Diego Loyal was the better side on the front foot. You saw the own goal that they caused just by the pure movement, whether it's Conway popping off, then it's Collier getting in behind, and then to be able to react in this, the third goal, Collier first to react. And then you asked Anthony Pujols, it's going to be extremely interesting to see. Just not really, can't put your finger on it. The ability to step off the line, be on the front foot, being more just reactive inside that 18-yard box, and that's what the difference was, and that's why San Diego Loyal comes into Miami FC and take all 3 points going back home.
Yeah, they pick up their second road win of the season, and Miami, shockingly enough now, has fallen for the second time this year at home. They're 2-2-3 at home. The record sits at 2-4-5. So that'll close things up here at FIU Stadium in Miami as Miami FC falls to San Diego Loyal 3-2. We're back on the air next weekend when they take on Orange County SC. It is on May the 27th. Kickoff at 7 o'clock Eastern. For my broadcast partners, Ricky Lopez-Espin and Lord Markwith, I'm David Gascon saying so long on a Saturday night. Hope you enjoyed this one. We'll catch you again next week.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.